Hello, everyone, and welcome to our continuing storytelling of From a Lamp in Every Corner, our Unitarian Universalist storybook. Our chapter this week is Circles of Light, the Flaming Chalice. In the dark nights and darker days of World War II, when guns blazed all over Europe and airplanes dropped death from the sky, some Unitarians in the United States decided to help the refugees, the people who were trying to escape from the war. So the Unitarian Service Committee was formed. The committee members went to Europe to try to bring the refugees safely out of the war zone. But some of those refugees spoke German. Some spoke French, some spoke Italian or Yiddish or some other language. Dr. Charles Joy, who was in charge of the committee, knew that the Unitarians needed a symbol that everyone could recognize, no matter what language they spoke or what country they came from. In 1941, in the city of Lisbon, Portugal, Dr. Joy asked the artist Hans Deutsch for help. Hans Deutsch was a refugee himself. In fact, he'd been a refugee more than once. He had been born in Austria, but when the Nazis invaded his country, he fled to Paris. Then the Nazis invaded Paris, so Hans Deutsch fled to Portugal, where he met Dr. Joy. "Draw us a symbol," Dr. Joy asked. "Make it look important and official, so it will impress the officials of different countries. Yet have it show the spirit of our work, which is to help and to serve." And so, with pencil and with ink, Hans Deutsch drew a chalice with a flame, surrounded by a circle of protection and love. Refugees all over Europe came to know and trust that sign, and the flaming chalice became a symbol of freedom and hope during the dark nights and darker days of that war. Over 30 years later, in 1976, after the Unitarians and the Universalists had joined to form the Unitarian Universalist Association, that one circle drawn around the flaming chalice became two. One circle for Unitarians, one circle for Universalists. And the circles aren't one inside the other. They're intertwined. They're connected, just as all of us are connected to each other and to everything in the world. The chalice, that picture of the chalice in the double circle has been used officially since 1976. Real flaming chalices have been used in some of our churches for over 50 years. In 1981, the Reverend David Poole lit a chalice at a General Assembly meeting during the Service of the Living Tradition, which is held to celebrate the lives of UU ministers. Many of the ministers who were there that day went home to their churches and fellowships, and they decided to get chalices of their own. Today, all over the world, Unitarian Universalists light the flaming chalice. We light one every Sunday when we gather for worship. And behind me is the chalice that we use. Some of us have a smaller chalice in our houses, and we light a chalice before every meal or at other special times. We have all kinds of chalices. Chalices are carved out of wood, shaped out of glass, or molded out of clay. We even wear them as jewelry or as pictures on our clothes. Chalices come in lots of different shapes and sizes and colors, just like Unitarian Universalists. Unitarian Universalism is neither the first nor the only religion to use a chalice or a flame as a sacred symbol. Throughout history, drinking vessels have been used on altars all over the world, with offerings such as water, milk, blood, or wine. Dr. Joy noted that the chalice that Hans Deutsch had drawn was the kind of chalice which the Greeks and the Romans put on their altars. Jesus shared a cup with his disciples, and many Christian denominations continue this tradition today. The cauldron of Cierwin offers rebirth, and the Holy Grail continues to inspire new stories. A chalice symbolizes community, life-giving nourishment, and love. Fire is perhaps the most ancient of sacred symbols. From the time when our ancestors first gathered around a hearth at night and looked to the sun at day, people light lamps and candles in cathedrals, temples, mosques, and houses of worship. Bonfires celebrate great events, and eternal flames guard our tombs. As matter becomes energy, the dancing flame both illuminates and destroys. Fire signifies knowledge with its vast potential for creation, transformation, and destruction, all at the same time. Yet when the flame arises from the chalice, that fire of knowledge is bound by that circle of community and love. The flame burns steadily. It does not rage out of control. The light illuminates. It does not blind. So also does Unitarian Universalism provide a steadfast illumination in our lives, and yet it does not eclipse other flames. The flaming chalice was drawn more than 80 years ago, and it is still a symbol of freedom and hope and light. It's a symbol of learning and caring and love. It's our symbol, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism.